Gentlemen, nothing. Same story from the Federal Reserve. Traders are calling it yet again another nothing burger. That's where it's been. That's where it's at. This time the Federal Reserve's turning around and saying that they need to understand exactly how impactful these tariffs are going to be on Trump, what Trump's tariffs are going to be like on the economy. It is going to be increasing inflation. That's what they think is going to be happening. So we're going to sit back and wait and see. Although they are expecting that the Fed's going to cut again in 2025, maybe once or twice. I don't think they're going to cut at all. Welcome to tonight's live, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try and make sense of what's going on. The FOMC minutes came out earlier on. Didn't really do anything for the marketplace other than the S&P making another high and NASDAQ still just trailing around, not doing too much. What does it all mean? Well, it means now that the dollar's yield is still going to be higher. But how long for? And to be frank with you, Bitcoin hasn't really been following the stock market. So realistically, Bitcoin's just doing its own thing. We can all safely say that Bitcoin is more than likely in an accumulation. Everyone's expecting Bitcoin to drop. So what we're going to do is going to break it all down for you, understand where there is significant interest in Bitcoin, which is going to align us with the psychology of derivatives traders, futures traders, the people that borrow money to speculate on whether they think Bitcoin should move up or down. Let's just get with the program, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well this evening. Please don't even mention altcoins, man. There's no point. What do you want me to say to you? Altcoin season? Nah, it's just, never mind. I mean, I said it yesterday in the comments, man. Like, a few people were like, you can't say that, Tino, about the altcoins. I said it. And quite frankly, a lot of people are denying the truth of it. And once you come to accept it, then you're not going to be married to a trade. And that way you can start working on other things. You got ETFs, not just Bitcoin. You got other ETFs. You've got other ways of trading, ladies and gentlemen. Other assets out there. Take advantage of them when they're moving. And if you're actually relying on hope, if you're waiting for someone to buy your coin so it can pump, you might as well be, I don't know, you might as well get a chicken to pick your stocks. It really is that sad. But never mind. Let's get into the program, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So, S&P hits record highs, and of course, the Fed minutes signals that they're going to hold on until inflation improves. We've heard this story over and over again. So, what does this mean? So, every time I come to look at the news anchors, there are key words for me that tell me exactly what to expect in the marketplace. So, when you look at this, you see S&P 500 hits record, okay? That tells me it's hit an all-time high, okay? What if it hits a record to the low? How are you going to know that? You just know that Bloomberg ain't going to be talking about a record low. They're going to be talking about record highs, okay? Secondly, brush off Fed signs. What does that mean? They're just dismissing what the Fed is saying. At the same time, when you go into it, it says the minute signals officials are hold on until inflation improves. So what does that tell me? That tells me now that the yields are going to stay high. That means other countries or other economies like the pound and the euro, they've been cutting their interest rates. The only country that's been increasing their interest rates is the Japanese yen. And the US hasn't really been cutting too much. And they're just all waiting to see how impactful this tariff story is going to be when it comes to inflation. It's going to increase inflation. But what they're going to do now is they're going to prompt the marketplace that it's going to increase, so that when they do get the reading of inflation, it's not going to be as impactful. Okay? They're throwing all little comments, especially Christopher Waller, talking about, yeah, we are going to be cutting, and if everything goes the way we expect it to go, then we're more likely going to be cutting our interest rates. It's getting boring. That's what's going on. It's getting very boring, and Bitcoin is representing that boredom. Going over into the charts, you can see Bitcoin hasn't really done too much. It has moved up ever so slightly, nearly clearing that 96,700, okay? From a day trading perspective, it's respected these lows right here. That's fine, okay? Going into other news on crypto, you can see SEC acknowledges CoinShares, XRP, and Litecoin ETF filings. Okay then, so XRP, what are you doing? Let's go and have a look at XRP. It's not doing too bad, to be fair. It's starting to make a little bit of a move higher. Not bad, $2.66. When we last looked at it, it was still at $2.66. And apparently, look at it. It's all this wild movement. It's just not doing anything, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, I'll tell you why there's nothing happening in crypto just yet. And why is everyone questioning whether it's going to go up, whether it's going to go down, and what have you? It's because you don't know where you stand with the interest rates. The investment market itself is trying to work out, should they retain their dollars or should they start putting their dollars to work? Because you're dealing with the following, the yields. The yields are coming down, which fundamentally means that the stock market should be moving up because investors are going into the bonds market. Bonds are going up. That's great news. If the bonds are going up, then there's not that much of a bad story with the bonds. Okay? If the yields keep going down, that's good news for the stock market, which is why the S&P made a nice move to the upside today. Look at that. It just cleared its all-time high to only come back down again. All right? Going to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ hasn't quite taken its all-time high just yet. And you can see NASDAQ has just been terrible with its behavior. It comes down, it comes up, and they're not doing anything. The only bout of data that's coming out right now, guys, is the unemployment claims. And I actually believe that nothing's going to happen in the marketplace until we know exactly what's going to happen with Trump. You're going to get this choppy behavior for quite some time. And that's how you know money is starting to circulate. Check this out. Going over to the dollar dominance, you can still see it's still at 1.06. Okay, so sorry, 6.74%. That's appreciation on the dollar. Going over to gold, you can have a look at gold. You can see gold is doing very well to get ready to start making a move back up. I believe gold is going to clear 3,000 like no tomorrow, and it's going to be a wonderful time when that happens. Okay, gold is getting ready for another move. Now, why is gold going up? Because there is expectation they're going to cut rates, but just don't know when. But investors are pricing it in now. Okay. What we got to be mindful of, guys, is the fact that the the situation between Russia and the US and Ukraine, once investors start to see that there's not going to be a war happening anymore, then investors are going to start taking risk from safety assets and start going into higher risk. That may be happening right now, which would explain why silver's moving lower and gold might not be making a move just yet, but I don't think gold is done at all. Which takes me over to Bitcoin price action. Have I still got you, ladies and gentlemen? 13th, the inflation. No, not interested in that. March has had a history of booming Bitcoin. Okay. No, I didn't. You're waiting for next week's data. Well, next week's data itself, going into it, we've got Friday with lots of flash manufacturing data, which is going to tell us exactly where we are with regards to the economy. But going into next week's data, we have a bank of holiday in Japan. You've got the German federal elections. And then you've got core CP price index. Yeah, core PCE price index, which is important for the Federal Reserve. And other than that, you don't really have anything other than Trump popping his head up in the calendar again, deciding that he wants to have a conversation. So let me just break down some price action and logic for you with Bitcoin so you guys can understand exactly what we're going to be getting. Going into the daily time frame, you can see Bitcoin's doing very well, but you can see it's not doing so well. Why? Look at how choppy this behavior is. The market is short-term based, okay? That means investors are coming in and they're buying and then they're selling. Go over to the chart. I mean, my thumbnail pretty much gave it to you this morning. They were buying Bitcoin. And that's exactly what they've done. They've been buying all this Bitcoin. Now they're slowly but surely starting to sell it. Now the offers are starting to come in. All right. Look at the liquidations. 3,568 traders were liquidated in the last hour. And then before that, and then after an hour before that, we had 3,738 and then 2,500. So in the last 4 hours or such, we've had nearly nearly 10,000 traders getting liquidated to the sum of 10.3 million, 5, 15, 19, nearly $23 million, man. Liquidated. Doesn't sound like it's much, but it's people's money at the end of the day, which leads me over to this chart right here. There's going to be an interesting bout of liquidations coming into play. Bitcoin will clear 98, it will clear 100 and come back down. Because unless we know exactly where we are with the interest rates, and as each time the data is released on the US economy, which is suggesting that the economy itself is doing great or not, Bitcoin ain't going to go nowhere. It really won't. You won't get your altcoin season. Because if Bitcoin isn't going to move up or down, it means that investors are playing ranges. They're moving money. They're moving it from ETFs. The money markets themselves still have around $6.5 trillion that are sat in there. Now, money markets and ETFs themselves, they do not carry that much volatility, okay? That's why there's so much money over there. They want to start putting their money to work. That's why they're trying to work out if the bonds market's going to go up or down. Now, the bonds have been taking a smack. Just because it's back above 100 doesn't mean anything, ladies and gentlemen. We go over to it. You can see that the bonds market, where are we at? Where's my 10-year bonds? Bloody hell, Tina, where you at? There you go. It's not doing anything. Nothing. There's no activity on the bonds. But because it's gapped up and investors are plowing into it, it's telling you investors are starting to get a little bit of a risk appetite. But are they getting a risk appetite? No. It's because we've still got yields high. 2 years going to stay high. 10 years going to stay high. 5 years going to stay high because they're not adjusting the rates. They're keeping them on hold. You go over to the CME swap indicator right here. All right. Euro's reading right now is at 1.71%. You go over to the euro itself and you can see that euro has been collectively marking up very, very well from these ranges. They are accumulating in euro. The dollar dominance is going to come down, which naturally means that Bitcoin's going to go up at some point. But when you've got investors still using dollars because of the purchasing power that's behind it, you're seeing that not distraction, but you're seeing that issue where Bitcoin goes up, so does the dollar. Okay? Why is dollar going up and gold is going up? It's because investors are using the appreciation of the dollar to go and buy appreciating assets. So they're getting more of something, putting up less, and that asset they're getting is increasing in value. But gold's only going up because interest rates are coming down. We just don't know when. And that's the issue we've got. Now, going into Bitcoin price action on the daily time frame. Unfortunately, Bitcoin hasn't done anything compared to what we saw yesterday. It's still stuck in the range, but it's doing very well to hold out. This is what you got to look for. As the 50 EMA starts to get flat, and so does the 5 and 13 EMA, what you want to pay attention to is the first candlestick that closes above the 5 and 13 EMA on the daily time frame. Remember, candlesticks will move faster than the moving averages. So going into tomorrow's candlestick, if the next candlestick closes above the 5 and 13 EMA and ends up like this, that would be the first sign and the first candle that would in essence lead to the next two candles in principle to start marking Bitcoin higher to get above that 50 EMA cloud. We really need to see Bitcoin rolling above 98,864 to suggest that in the short term, it's going to climb up to try and reclaim some previous vectors and, of course, previous points of interest. Around the 102,500 region could be a point of interest. Go and have a look at the liquidation points. You can see up here, you've got them at 96,850, going all the way up towards 98. We then go and take the 1 week chart and refresh that to work out how much liquidity there is even higher. Going to the top side right there, there's a big pool at 99,100. Going into the 2 week chart, how are investors looking in terms of Bitcoin? They're just expecting it to go lower and lower. Again, look, it's all coming in. 99,000 going into the 101,000 region. And then we go bang up towards that 102. That's where the bulk of all the liquidations are. This is where dead money is sitting. And if this money that is dead is sitting there, it means it's been placed there. By who? It's been placed by the same trader that went short on Bitcoin. He's using leverage. That leverage is something that is borrowed, open interest. You're borrowing money from exchanges, and there is a bag of it over there. The market's only going to end up going back to those points because that's where it can transact. Markets only move to liquidity. The next bout of liquidity in Bitcoin is at the 99,600. That's the biggest pool of liquidity that theoretically Bitcoin should be on the trajectory to start taking. And if it does manage to get to 99,600, for example, that would put us up towards this region right here. That would then give us that candlestick close above the 50 EMA in principle, because the 50 EMA won't be going anywhere. Look, it will do this, right? It'll end up being flat. And it's only when Bitcoin really starts to climb up where you'll then start to see curvature in the moving average. That's why I said moving averages are laggard, but you can use them as points of interest to assume that if you forward project where the moving average is likely to end up, then you are effectively using it. It's not so much a lagging indicator. If you project what price needs to do to get the moving average to be there. So if I talk about that on a smaller time frame, look at the 1 hour time frame right now. Where's price? Price right now is at the 50, just coming away from the 50 EMA. What you're seeing on the 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame is what you need to see on the daily. This sort of behavior is trying to stay away from the actual the 50 EMA cloud right here. That's what you're looking for, right? Look at the average close of each of those candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Including this one, right? of those 12 candlesticks, how many of them closed below the 50 EMA? This one can't really count it because it's at the 50 EMA, right? The 50 EMA is the blue line. This candle came down and came back above it. This candle closed below it, but this candle came below it and came straight back up again. Okay? So of those 12 candlesticks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them closed above the 50 EMA. So what does that tell you about the average of price? It's closing higher. So when you start seeing something like that developing, you can then say to yourself, well, it's above the moving average. Fundamentally, I expect it to continue. But the moving average is flat. So there's no momentum. So there's no trade. But then when you approach it from that perspective and say, hold on a second, if this candlestick keeps on going up, I can then project that the moving average is going to start having some curvature to it, which could effectively end up becoming the crossover that we need on the 50 and the 200 EMA, which you guys will call the golden cross in principle. So what would have to happen? Candlestick, candlestick, come back down, candlestick, candlestick, test the moving average, candlestick, candlestick up. You're projecting by using the moving average because the moving average is effectively giving you a floor right now. And the average of closes of price in that range is telling you what? They want it to go higher. Now, of course, Bitcoin can pull some stupid move like this where it just drops down. Okay? You ever not wondered why you look at a moving average and price is going up and it just keeps on going up? Well, look at how it behaves at this cloud. Look at how the average of how many times price came down to this cloud bit, rejected it, came back up, rejected it, came back up. And you were taking longs in these areas here, yeah, you would be realizing a short return, but that return itself would lead to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hour move up. You can't complain about that, given that Bitcoin did move from this range all the way up. $800 move in Bitcoin. If you're a day trader, that's wonderful for you when you're scalping Bitcoin, yes or no? You know? Any questions, ladies and gentlemen, if that makes sense to you all? Daniel B. The burger's getting cold, Tina. Never mind. Who is this? 12-minute candle on cold looks. That's good morning. What? Don't overcomplicate. Just buy. Do you know what, bro? It's one of those things. What is this? Everything go up. There is no edge. Is this the guy that predict Bitcoin to 8K? Yeah, it was me. What, you think I'm going to shy away from saying that, bruv? Yeah, I said that when it was 16K. And you're coming in saying it now it's at 96. You dead brer. Your maths is a bit backwards, bro. We're at 96 now. Why are you looking for 8K Bitcoin? Man, you're trading. My days, man. What a guy. Never mind. Any questions, guys? It's all love, bro. I'm only playing. So, consolidation or distribution? No way to tell beforehand. So, follow the trend. Well, what do you think? Consolidation or distribution? A lot of people are considering the idea that it is distribution because they're expecting Bitcoin to go down. Okay, well, Bitcoin will go down once it breaks beyond this 91,000. So, in other words, until you see the break beyond 91,000, what are you in? You're in effectively accumulation. You could make the logic that BlackRock's not selling its ETF, so that's retaining value. I don't see them coming off this. Okay, fine. So if they're not selling, I don't need to be worried about anything, given they hold 2.7% of the supply. Never mind. So if they're not getting rid of it, never mind. If they're only getting rid of 200-300 ETFs, all right, I'm not going to be worried about that now, am I? No. All right? When you've got an expectation that it's all going to drop because you're so used to seeing Bitcoin drop after a big move up, you've got a different Bitcoin right now, guys. You've got too many guys watching it. Too many participants are holding Bitcoin, and those participants are influential ones as well. They probably won't let Bitcoin go to a certain price point. They probably will let it go to a certain price point. Don't think just because they won't let it go down doesn't mean that they won't let it go up either. They want to get as much of it as they can. Only a major event, a black swan event, will shake out all your investors in the ETF. All right? Because this is all speculation right now. And if Bitcoin is the hedge against inflation, you need inflation to go up, the dollar dominance to go down, and Bitcoin in principle should shoot up. That's what should be happening. All right? But you're not getting that. If the Bank of Japan increases their interest rates, The euro goes up, the yen goes up, the dollar goes down. So why on earth does Bitcoin, why on earth does the NASDAQ and the S&P collapse when the yen increases its interest rates? Because they borrow the yen to convert it to dollars, to get those dollars to put it into Bitcoin, to put it into NASDAQ and the S&P. And now it becomes a bit more expensive to hold those yen. So they have to get rid of it and put it back into the yen. Shouldn't Bitcoin be going up on that principle? If the value of the dollar is going down? Doesn't it make sense for Bitcoin to go up? Just goes to show that they don't care about your logic of whether it should be at a certain price or not. It's all about the bottom line. It costs me X amount of millions to borrow yen. If I convert my yen right now, okay, I'm getting a implied rate differential of 4.09% against the dollar. I'm earning nicely with my yen. 4.09%. That's a nice bit of flavor right there. Okay? Why would I not get involved in the yen? But when they increase their rates, it starts to get a little bit expensive if I'm buying it in the millions. So that's why I wet the bed and quickly go over and exchange my yen or my dollars, put them back into yen so that I don't pay the cost or the difference. Because it already costs me to take advantage of this implied rate differential. It's the difference of borrowing one asset against the other and holding it for a certain period of time. Never mind. Any other questions? So what the F does Bitcoin crash? So what? Hold on. What was that? That's a very good question. Hold on. So WTF does Bitcoin crash when inflation is on the rise? Inflation hedge only works over a long time frame. Yeah, it does. It does. But because Bitcoin is being sold as a store of value, okay, now it's not the hedge against inflation. You want the hedge against inflation? It's right in front of you. That is the hedge against inflation. Gold. Like every trader in Wall Street knows, you go to gold. If interest rates are going to go down, why am I going to hold dollars anymore? I'm not getting any yield from it. Let me go to gold. That relationship has been going on forever. You know? Well, when they start increasing the interest rates on the dollar, I ain't going to be going in gold now, am I? I'm going to go to a much safer asset, which is the government bonds and, of course, sit in dollars. So I'm getting 6% appreciation on the dollar. What you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is investors right now are toying between the idea of whether they should stay in dollars because they're picking up 6% appreciation. They're waiting for certain assets to get so cheap enough that they can buy a lot of it with depreciation of the dollar. But they're bouncing back and forth between bonds, dollars, okay? It's like they're not seeking risk. Right now, retail is contributing to this mad move to the upside. Stock-bond ratio is way overvalued. That means that stocks are overvalued in comparison to the bonds. Right now, the bonds are moving up, but the stock market is also moving up. So you're getting this valuation bubble where it's when is it going to burst? You got NVIDIA earnings coming out soon, guys. And if that comes in and shows that everything's all good, my gosh, you're going to get a 23,000 NASDAQ. You're going to get a 6,500 S&P. They even said 7,000, man. In 2025, it could clear 7,000. That is absolutely wild. Who knows? So, why only gold and silver shoot up and platinum is relatively cheap? Platinum was always higher than gold pre-COVID inflation era. Well, gold and silver, they're always going to be moving up, especially with this AI story and, because the rare earth metals and what have you. But platinum doesn't really get the credit that it's due, If rappers are just buying diamonds and that's it, it's not really a marketplace to be part of as such. Where else? I mean, platinum does have various uses, but not as demanding as what gold is. Because gold is the hedge. Platinum isn't. Even though it's the same metals in principle, part of the same commodities. All right? So that's it. Yeah, the market is boring as hell. Never mind. If it don't make dollars, don't make sense. So, what stocks are you finding interesting right now? I'll tell you what, you want to be shorting as many defense-based and auto-based stocks as well. All right, check this out. Lockheed Martin. All right, look at this. So they've been taking a nosedive, all right? And that's because they want to effectively cut the defense spending in half, all right? Go and have a look at other ones. Rocket Lab, all right? Aerospace defense, $25, market cap 12 billion. Manufactures rocket spacecraft intended to get to orbit and remove barriers to commercial space. Okay, so it depends on how these guys are going to be utilized, but it wouldn't say it's defense bases, but unusual machines. You got a developed stage technology company which engages in provisions of drone solutions. All right. Well, if we've got a war that's coming to an end, we ain't going to be using their services anymore. So even though it's a small market cap, it's relatively new. Okay. Could get that on a discount. Really could. And then you're going to hope that there's another war that happens, or we start getting Amazon Prime delivered to all our homes with the usage of drones. So it's one of those. But for me right now, I think you really just need to stay in tech stocks. Any emerging tech stocks. So if you look at NVIDIA, okay, and look at the stocks that are surrounding that, okay. So you've got Broadcom, all right, relatively great on its strength. Look at that, $228 a share. You got CEVA as well. So that's doing really well. Electro Semiconductors, $35. This one designs and licenses programmable digital signal processing cores and software components. Probably provides some of that stuff to other companies that we all know, okay. It's still a company. They've got fund ownership that is increasing, okay. But well, it's actually come from 321 to 320 over the course of nearly 6-7 months. All right. Funds own 57% of the stock. So at $35, it's pretty much like another NVIDIA when you think about it. It's the same industry. Okay. And they're also to repurchase an additional 700,000 shares of common stock outstanding. So they obviously want to retain their company. They want to get their stock because they believe it's going to just increase in value over time. You know? Just stick in the tech market because it's volatile and you're going to get a clear view when it's not going good for them. All right. That's what I'm looking at anyways. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen, before we kill it? Tino, your thoughts on gold? I believe gold is going to keep moving up. Yes. Please explain the midweek reversal. Midweek reversal focuses in Forex this logic right here. You got a pattern at the start of the week, a level 1, level 2, level 3 peak formation, drop level 1, drop level 2, drop level 3 peak formation. In Forex, we have Sunday, okay? Sunday, Monday. Sorry, this is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday, this is Wednesday, midweek reversal, okay? That's a Wednesday, right? And then you've got Thursday, then you've got Friday, then you've got Sunday. Okay, that's a week in Forex, Monday to Friday. Cryptocurrencies, in principle, is Saturday to Saturday. Okay, so if you were to look at the midweek concept, it would be Thursday. So tomorrow we'll be going into what appears to be for Bitcoin's midweek reversal point. Okay, that's where we are with it. Let's go into it. Oh, come on. Come on. Tina, do you think of a possible short squeeze on Bitcoin? I believe that's the case. Why? Because you've got lots of shorts coming in at the 99 and they seem to be transacting really well at the 99. Going over into this chart right here, you got lots of offers coming into play, guys. Look, these offers, they want to get out. Look, 100,000, 28 million. And if Bitcoin's going to be held range worthy until the interest rates are decided, okay, and they're just going to keep bouncing up and down to 100K, up and down, people are like, no, it will never go to 100K again. Bro, it's only $4,000 away. How can it not go to 100K? It's unlikely Bitcoin's going to go to zero, okay? But it's very likely Bitcoin can go to 100K again. You know? It's only 4K away. Doesn't make sense to say that. Well, because of what? Because people sold so much from it. Because it's such a sell wall. Yeah, that's perfectly why it's going to go up to that point again. Because the same people that have been buying Bitcoin down here know they can sell it all the way up here again. Guaranteed. Why? Because it's an area of resistance. Because people effectively buy into resistances the second they believe it's going to break it. So they break that resistance, everyone's there buying it, and these dudes are selling into you, and then it all comes down again, and you're like, that makes sense. It was a resistance point. Never mind next trade. Never mind. All right then, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that makes sense for you. All right. you see Bitcoin really isn't doing anything. It's going sideways, all right? So just take that into consideration. Don't put down too much risk. But tomorrow is Thursday, midweek reversal, and the market knows exactly where we are with the interest rate story. It's wait and see. So just pay attention to how Bitcoin moves alongside the dollar, all right? I'll be tuning into you all tomorrow, guys. Take care of yourselves. Peace.